Your father is just a Marine. Stories like that don't come from families like yours. The red pen slashes across Lily's paper. 23 children watch as an 8-year-old girl's truth is torn apart by the woman who was supposed to protect her. The word liar isn't written, but it hangs in the air like smoke. Lily doesn't cry. She learned long ago that tears don't bring her father home faster. Instead, she whispers a prayer so quiet only God can hear it. What no one knows, not the teacher, not the principal, not the laughing children, is that help is already on its way. Walking in combat boots, with a K9 named Titan at his side. Before we begin, hit subscribe and stay until the end. Drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. Lily Mason woke up at 5:47 a.m., 13 minutes before her alarm. She had been doing that for 11 months now, ever since her father deployed. Her body refused to let her sleep past the hour when he used to make breakfast. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, counting the glow-in-the-dark stars her father had put up the night before he left. "When you miss me," he had said, pressing each star into place. "Just look up. I'll be looking at the same stars wherever I am." "But it's daytime where you are when it's nighttime here," Lily had pointed out. Her father had laughed. "Then I'll look at them in my memory. Same thing." She hadn't understood then. She understood now. Lily got dressed quietly, careful not to wake her mother. Jessica Mason had worked a double shift at the hospital and hadn't gotten home until 2 a.m. Lily had heard her come in, heard her pause at Lily's door, heard the soft sound of crying that her mother thought she hid so well. The presentation folder sat on Lily's desk exactly where she had left it the night before. She picked it up and held it to her chest. Today was the day. My hero. That was the assignment. Mrs. Crawford had given them 2 weeks to prepare. Most kids chose athletes, or singers, or characters from movies. Tyler Morrison was doing his presentation on his father, a big-shot attorney who drove a Mercedes and donated money to the school. Lily was doing hers on her dad. She had worked harder on this than anything in her life. She had written and rewritten her speech. She had drawn pictures her father in his uniform, the American flag and Titan, the dog she had only met twice but loved with her whole heart. Her father was coming home today. He had promised. He had called 3 days ago from a base she couldn't pronounce and told her he would be there. "I'll be in that classroom, Lilybug. I promise." "You promise, promise?" "I promise, promise. Have I ever broken a promise to you?" He hadn't, not once, not even when it was hard, not even when it seemed impossible. Lily believed him. She crept downstairs, made herself a bowl of cereal, and sat at the kitchen table alone. The house was quiet in that heavy way that houses get when someone is missing. Her father's boots weren't by the door. His jacket wasn't on the hook. His coffee mug sat in the cabinet unused for almost a year. But today, she reminded herself, today he's coming home. At 7:15, her mother came downstairs, still in her scrubs, dark circles under her eyes. "Sweetheart, you're up early." "Couldn't sleep." Jessica sat down across from her, reaching out to brush a strand of hair from Lily's face. "Nervous about your presentation?" "A little." "You're going to do great. You practiced so hard." "Mom." Lily hesitated. "Do you think Dad will really make it?" Jessica's face flickered just for a moment with something that looked like doubt, but she covered it quickly with a smile. "He said he would. And your father keeps his promises." "I know. What if something happens? What if his plane is late? What if—" "Hey." Jessica took Lily's hands in hers. "Whatever happens, I'll be there. I took the morning off work. I wouldn't miss this for anything." "Really? Really. I'll be right in the back of the classroom cheering you on." Lily felt a little of the tension leave her shoulders. Even if her father couldn't make it, even if something went wrong, at least her mother would be there. That would be enough. It had to be enough. The drive to school was quiet. Lily watched the familiar streets pass by, clutching her folder in her lap. Pinewood Elementary came into view, a single-story building with a flagpole out front, the American flag hanging limp in the still morning air. "I'll walk you in," Jessica said. "Mom, you don't have to." "I want to." They walked together through the front doors, past the office, past the trophy cases filled with sports awards and academic achievements. Jessica squeezed Lily's hand at the door to room 3B. "You've got this," she whispered. "I'm so proud of you." "I haven't done anything yet." "You've already done everything. You prepared. You practiced. You believed. That's the hard part." Jessica kissed her forehead. "I'll be watching from the back." Lily nodded and pushed open the door. The classroom was already filling up. Kids clustered in groups comparing their projects, showing off their posters. Tyler Morrison sat at the back with his friends, laughing loudly at something on his phone. Lily found her seat near the window and sat down quietly. She set her folder on her desk and folded her hands in her lap. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her face calm. She had learned that from her father, too. "Control what you can control," he always said. "Let go of what you can't." She could control her face. She could control her breathing. She could control her words. The rest was up to God and the United States military. At 8:30, exactly, Mrs. Victoria Crawford walked into the classroom. Lily had never liked Mrs. Crawford. It wasn't that the teacher was mean exactly. It was more that she seemed to look at some children differently than others. The kids whose parents donated to the school got extra attention. The kids who wore nice clothes got more smiles. And kids like Lily, whose mother worked double shifts, whose father was gone, whose clothes came from Target clearance racks, got something else entirely. Not hostility. Something worse. Invisibility. Mrs. Crawford set her bag on her desk and clapped her hands twice. "Good morning, class. Today is presentation day. I hope everyone is prepared." A chorus of "Yes, Mrs. Crawford" filled the room. "We'll go in alphabetical order by last name. That means Brandon Adams, you're up first." Brandon shuffled to the front of the room with a poster about LeBron James. His presentation was short and mostly consisted of reading stats from a Wikipedia printout. Mrs. Crawford nodded politely and made notes on her clipboard. One by one, the students took their turns. Athletes, singers, movie characters. A few chose parents, mostly fathers, with impressive-sounding jobs. Tyler Morrison's presentation on his attorney father was long, detailed, and accompanied by a professionally printed poster. "Excellent work, Tyler," Mrs. Crawford said with a warm smile. "Your father sounds like a truly accomplished man." "He is," Tyler said, grinning. "He's won like 100 cases." "That's wonderful. You must be very proud." Lily watched Tyler return to his seat, high-fiving his friends along the way. Her stomach tightened. "Lily Mason," Mrs. Crawford called. "You're next." Lily stood up slowly. Her legs felt like they were made of concrete. She picked up her folder and walked to the front of the room, her sneakers squeaking softly on the linoleum. 23 pairs of eyes watched her. She opened her folder and took a breath. "My hero is my dad." She began, her voice soft but steady. "His name is Gunnery Sergeant Ryan Mason. He's a Marine." A small sound came from somewhere in the room. A snort. A laugh. Lily couldn't tell. She kept going. "My dad has been in the Marines for 15 years. He's been deployed 4 times. Right now he's in Afghanistan." She held up one of her drawings, her father in his desert camouflage, standing tall and straight. "He works with a dog named Titan. Titan is a Belgian Malinois. He helps find bombs so soldiers don't get hurt." Mrs. Crawford's pen was moving across her clipboard. Her expression hadn't changed, but something in her eyes made Lily uneasy. "My dad has saved a lot of lives," Lily continued. "He has a Bronze Star, which means he was really brave in a dangerous situation. He also has a Purple Heart, which means he got hurt protecting other people." She looked toward the back of the room where her mother sat watching. Jessica nodded, her eyes glistening. "My dad couldn't be here for my birthday," Lily said, her voice wavering slightly. "He couldn't be here for Christmas. He misses a lot of things because he's keeping us safe. But he promised." She stopped. swallowed. He promised he would be here today. She looked at the door. It was closed. No one was there. He promised, she repeated softer now. Mrs. Crawford set down her pen. Lily, she said, her voice carrying that particular tone adults use when they're about to say something unkind wrapped in kindness. That's a very creative presentation. The word hung in the air. Creative. Like it meant something else entirely. Where did you learn all these details about your father's work? He told me, Lily answered. And my mom. Mrs. Crawford flipped through Lily's drawings. A bronze star, a purple heart. K-9 handler with Marine Special Operations. That's quite a lot of accomplishments for one Marine, don't you think? Lily didn't understand the question. He earned them. I'm sure you believe that. Mrs. Crawford's smile didn't reach her eyes. But sometimes Lily children hear things and embellish them. It's natural, especially when we miss someone very much. I'm not making it up. I'm not saying you're lying, dear. I'm saying that perhaps you've confused some things. Movies about Marines can be very realistic. It's easy to mix up what's real and what's entertainment. Lily felt heat rising to her cheeks. I didn't get this from a movie. Mrs. Crawford. Jessica's voice came from the back of the room, sharp and clear. Everything my daughter said is accurate. The teacher turned, her eyebrows raised. Mrs. Mason, I didn't realize you were joining us. Clearly, Jessica stood up, her arms crossed. My husband is a gunnery sergeant with MARSOC. He is a decorated K-9 handler. Every word Lily said is true. Mrs. Crawford's expression flickered, but only for a moment. I'm sure you believe that, Mrs. Mason, but we have standards for these presentations. We can't verify. Verify? Jessica's voice rose. My daughter is telling you about her father. What is there to verify? Please keep your voice down. You're disrupting the class. You're calling my daughter a liar in front of her classmates, and I'm the one disrupting. The room had gone deadly silent. Every child sat frozen eyes wide watching the confrontation unfold. Mrs. Crawford picked up her red pen and wrote 2 words across the top of Lily's presentation, not verified. The presentation will be graded accordingly, she said coolly. Lily, please return to your seat. Lily didn't move. She stood at the front of the room, her drawings trembling in her hands, staring at those 2 words written in blood-red ink across her father's face. Not verified. As if he didn't exist. As if everything he had sacrificed was nothing. Go ahead, Lily, Mrs. Crawford said, her voice falsely gentle. Take your seat. Tyler Morrison's voice cut through the silence. I told you guys. My dad says Marines are just soldiers who couldn't get into the real military. Someone laughed. Then someone else. Mrs. Crawford did nothing to stop it. Jessica started moving toward the front of the room, fury in her eyes, but Lily spoke first. My dad is not just a Marine. Her voice was small but steady. He's a hero, and he's coming. He promised. Mrs. Crawford sighed. Lily, I think we've heard enough. He's coming. Your father is not going to. The classroom door opened. Everyone turned. A man stood in the doorway. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing desert camouflage, still dusty from a war zone halfway across the world. His face was weathered, his jaw set, his eyes sharp with an intensity that made the room feel smaller. 3 ribbons were visible on his chest. Even the children who knew nothing about the military could sense they meant something important. And beside him, sitting perfectly still, was a dog. Not a pet. Not a friendly golden retriever or a fluffy family companion. This was a weapon wrapped in fur. 90 pounds of muscle and discipline. Dark coat. Amber eyes that scanned the room with trained precision. A harness marked with military insignia. This was Titan. The classroom went absolutely silent. Mrs. Crawford's face drained of color. Daddy! Lily dropped her folder and ran. She crashed into her father's chest, and he caught her, lifting her off the ground with arms that had carried wounded soldiers, that had dragged men to safety under fire, that had held dying friends and said goodbye. I'm here, Lilybug. Ryan Mason said, his voice rough with emotion. I promised. I knew you'd come. I knew it. Have I ever broken a promise to you? Never. Jessica reached them, tears streaming down her face, and Ryan pulled her into the embrace with his free arm. For a moment, the classroom, the teacher, the world disappeared. It was just the three of them. And Titan, who sat perfectly still, watching everything. Then Ryan set Lily down and turned to face the room. His eyes found Mrs. Crawford. Ma'am? He said, his voice calm, but carrying an edge that made even the adults in the room straighten their spines. I understand there was some confusion about my daughter's presentation. Mrs. Crawford opened her mouth, but no words came out. Ryan stepped forward. Titan moved with him, silent and precise. I'm Gunnery Sergeant Ryan Mason, United States Marine Corps, Special Operations Command, K-9 Handler. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folder. Here's my service record, my commendations, and my orders. Would you like to verify them? He held out the folder. Mrs. Crawford didn't move. I asked you a question, ma'am. Ryan's voice hardened. Would you like to verify them? That won't be necessary. I think it is. Ryan placed the folder on her desk. Open it. With trembling hands, Mrs. Crawford opened the folder. Inside were documents, photographs, official letters. Her eyes moved across the pages, and with each line her face grew paler. Bronze Star with Valor, Ryan said. Awarded for actions in Helmand Province. I carried 2 wounded Marines a quarter-mile under enemy fire. Would you like the citation? Mrs. Crawford shook her head, eyes fixed on the documents. Purple Heart. I took shrapnel in my shoulder and leg from an IED. My dog detected 3 other devices that day, saved 11 lives. He gestured to Titan. This dog has deployed 4 times. He's detected over 200 explosives. He's saved more people than you'll ever meet. Tyler Morrison was crying quietly at his desk. The boy who had laughed loudest was now sobbing silently, unable to look up. My daughter told you the truth, Ryan continued. Every word. And you called her a liar in front of her classmates. You wrote, "not verified" on her work in red ink. You let other children mock her. I didn't mean, what you meant doesn't matter. What you did does. Ryan stepped closer, not threatening, but commanding. I've spent 15 years fighting for this country. I've missed birthdays. I've missed holidays. I've missed watching my daughter grow up. And I did it so people like you could stand in comfortable classrooms and teach the next generation. He looked around the room at the silent children, at the tearful faces. This is what you're teaching them, to judge people by their bank accounts, to mock children whose parents sacrifice everything. Sergeant Mason! A new voice came from the doorway. Principal Donald Whitmore stood there, his face ashen. I just received a call from the Marine Corps Public Affairs Office. They informed me a decorated combat veteran was en route to my school. I came as quickly as I could. Good, Ryan said. Then you can explain to me why my daughter was publicly humiliated. I assure you I had no knowledge. That's the problem, isn't it? Ryan's voice was quiet, but devastating. You didn't know. You didn't ask. You didn't care. He turned back to Lily and knelt down to her level. Go ahead, sweetheart, he said softly. Finish your presentation. But she already marked it. Forget the marks. Forget the grades. This isn't about her anymore. He cupped her face in his hands. Tell them about your hero. Tell them the truth. Lily looked at her father, at Titan sitting patiently beside them, at her mother crying and smiling at the same time. She picked up her fallen folder and walked back to the front of the room. This time she didn't shake. My hero is my dad, she said, her voice clear and strong. His name is Gunnery Sergeant Ryan Mason. He's a United States Marine, and he's the bravest person I've ever known. She looked directly at Mrs. Crawford. And he keeps his promises. Ryan Mason stood at the back of the room, his hand resting on Titan's head, tears sliding silently down his weathered face. He had fought in battles that would haunt him forever. He had watched friends die. He had faced enemies who wanted him dead. But nothing in his life had ever made him prouder than this moment. His daughter, his little girl, standing tall, telling the truth, refusing to break. The classroom was silent when Lily finished. Not the cruel silence from before. Something else. Something heavier. Tyler Morrison raised his hand. Everyone turned to look at him. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice cracking. "I didn't know. I said bad things about Marines. My dad told me those things, but—" He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I'm sorry." Lily looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "It's okay," she said. "You didn't know." One by one, other children began to speak. Apologies, questions, expressions of awe and regret. The wall that had separated Lily from her classmates crumbled brick by brick. Mrs. Crawford sat at her desk, motionless, staring at the red pen in her hand as if seeing it for the first time. Ryan approached her slowly. "I'm not going to yell at you," he said quietly. "I'm not going to threaten you. That's not who I am." She looked up, her eyes red. "But I want you to understand something." He leaned in slightly. "Every child in this room will remember today. They'll remember what you did to my daughter. And they'll remember how you responded when you were wrong." He straightened up. "What you do next matters. Who you become after this moment matters. That's between you and God." He turned to go, then paused. "But if you ever humiliate another child for loving their parent, I'll make sure every news station in this state knows your name." He walked back to Lily and took her hand. "Come on, Lilybug. Let's go home." Jessica joined them, wrapping her arm around her daughter's shoulders. Titan rose and fell into step beside them, silent and watchful. At the door, Lily turned back and looked at the classroom one more time, at the children who had laughed at her, at the teacher who had doubted her, at the words "not verified" still visible on her crumpled presentation. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. The truth had spoken for itself. And as the Mason family walked out of Pinewood Elementary, the morning sun finally breaking through the fog, Lily realized something important. Her father wasn't just her hero because he was brave. He was her hero because he came back. He always came back. And that was the most important promise of all. The car ride home was silent for the first 5 minutes. Lily sat in the back seat with Titan's massive head resting on her lap. She stroked his fur, slowly feeling the warmth of him, the realness of him. Her father was here. Titan was here. Everything she had prayed for had come true. But something felt wrong. She looked at her parents in the front seat. Her mother was gripping the steering wheel too tightly. Her father was staring out the window, his jaw clenched in that way it got when he was thinking about something hard. "Dad!" Lily's voice was small. Ryan turned to look at her. "Yeah, Lilybug. Are you mad? At you?" He shook his head immediately. "Never. Not for 1 second." "Then why do you look like that?" Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then he reached back between the seats and took her hand. "I'm not mad at you," he said carefully. I'm struggling with what I saw in there." "The teacher." "Yes, and more than that." He squeezed her hand. "How long has it been like this?" Lily didn't understand. "Like what?" Jessica spoke without taking her eyes off the road. "She means, has Mrs. Crawford treated you that way before?" Lily hesitated. She didn't want to upset her parents more than they already were. But her father had taught her that lying was never the answer, even when the truth was hard. "Sometimes," she admitted quietly. Ryan's grip on her hand tightened. "What do you mean, sometimes? She doesn't call on me very much. When I raise my hand, she looks past me like I'm not there. And sometimes—" Lily stopped. "Sometimes what?" "Sometimes she makes comments about my clothes, about how you and Mom aren't around for school events, about how some families just have less." The car swerved slightly. Jessica corrected it, her knuckles white on the wheel. She said that— Jessica's voice was barely controlled. "To you in front of other kids." Not exactly like that, but kind of. The other kids figured out what she meant. Ryan turned fully around in his seat to face his daughter. His eyes were dark with something Lily had never seen before. Not anger exactly. Something deeper. Something that scared her a little. Lily, listen to me very carefully. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. Do you understand? Yes, sir. What that woman said to you, what she did to you, that was wrong. It was cruel. And it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. Why doesn't she like me? The question hung in the air like a blade. Jessica made a sound that might have been a sob. She pulled the car over to the side of the road and stopped. For a long moment, she just sat there, hands covering her face. Mom. Lily's voice trembled. Mom, are you okay? Jessica turned around, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. See what? What was happening to you? I've been so busy working trying to keep everything together while your dad was gone, I didn't notice. It's okay, Mom. I didn't want to worry you. That breaks my heart even more. Jessica reached back and cupped Lily's face. You shouldn't have to protect me. I'm your mother. I'm supposed to protect you. Ryan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again and again. You should get that, Jessica said, wiping her eyes. Ryan pulled out the phone and looked at the screen. His expression changed. What is it? Jessica asked. It's Sergeant Major Phillips, my commanding officer. He answered the call. Sir. Yes, sir. I'm aware. No, sir. I didn't plan for it to. What do you mean it's already? He fell silent, listening. His face went through several expressions: surprise, disbelief, something that might have been alarm. I understand, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be in touch. He hung up. Jessica stared at him. What was that about? Ryan ran a hand over his face. Someone in that classroom was recording. The whole thing. The teacher humiliating Lily. The confrontation. Me walking in with Titan. All of it. Recording who? They don't know yet, but it's been uploaded to social media, multiple platforms. He looked at his phone again. It already has 200,000 views. Jessica's mouth fell open. 200,000. And climbing. Lily didn't understand what this meant. Is that bad? Her parents exchanged a look that she couldn't read. It's complicated, Ryan said. What happened in that classroom should never have happened. The truth needed to come out. But this way, it's going to be very public, very fast. What does that mean for us? Ryan reached back and took her hand again. It means things are going to get a little crazy for a while. People are going to want to talk to us. Reporters, news stations, maybe even people from the Marine Corps. Are you in trouble? No, sweetheart. I didn't do anything wrong. Neither did you. He paused. But Mrs. Crawford, she's going to have to answer for what she did. Not just to us, to everyone. Lily thought about that. Part of her wanted Mrs. Crawford to be punished, to feel what it was like to be humiliated in front of people. But another part of her, the part that had whispered prayers instead of curses, felt something different. I don't want her to get hurt, Lily said quietly. Both her parents turned to look at her. What do you mean, sweetheart? Jessica asked. I was mad at her. Really mad. But... Lily struggled to find the words. She was wrong. She was mean. But maybe she doesn't know how to be different. Maybe nobody ever taught her. Ryan stared at his daughter with an expression she couldn't quite identify. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. Not a mocking laugh. A warm, surprised laugh, like he had just discovered something wonderful. You know what, Lilybug? You might be the wisest person I've ever met. I'm 8. I know. That's what makes it so amazing. He shook his head slowly. I spent 11 months in a war zone, and I come home to find out my daughter is more graceful under fire than most soldiers I know. Jessica was crying again, but this time she was smiling too. She gets it from you. No. Ryan looked at Lily with fierce pride. She gets it from herself. They drove the rest of the way home in a different kind of silence. Not the heavy silence from before, something lighter, something that felt like the beginning of healing. When they pulled into the driveway, Lily noticed a car parked across the street. A man was sitting inside holding something that looked like a camera. "Dad," she said, pointing. "Who's that?" Ryan looked. His expression hardened. "Reporter, already." "How did they find our house?" "Public records. Military family registries. It's not hard if you know where to look." "What do we do?" Ryan thought for a moment. "We go inside. We don't talk to them yet. We need to figure out how to handle this the right way." They got out of the car quickly, Ryan keeping himself between Lily and the photographer. The man called out a question about the video about what happened at the school, but Ryan didn't respond. Inside, with the door closed behind them, Lily finally let out the breath she had been holding. "This is crazy," she said. "Yeah," Ryan agreed. "It is." The house phone rang, then Jessica's cell phone, then Ryan's. They looked at each other, then at the phones, then back at each other. "This is going to be a long day," Jessica said. Titan walked over to his water bowl and drank deeply, completely unbothered by the chaos. Lily wished she could be that calm. "Dad, can I ask you something? Anything. When you walked into that classroom, were you scared?" Ryan considered the question seriously the way he always did when Lily asked him something important. "No," he said. "I wasn't scared. I was angry. Angrier than I've been in a long time." "But you didn't yell. You didn't lose your temper." "No, I didn't." "Why not?" Ryan sat down on the couch and gestured for Lily to sit beside him. Titan immediately jumped up on the other side, resting his head on Ryan's leg. "Because losing your temper gives power to the other person," Ryan explained. "It makes you look out of control. It makes them the victim. And that teacher, she wanted me to explode. She wanted me to give her a reason to call security, to play the victim, to make it about my behavior instead of hers." "So you stayed calm on purpose?" "I stayed calm because it was the right thing to do, and because you were watching." He put his arm around her. "Everything I do, every choice I make, I want you to be able to look at me and see someone worth respecting, not someone who lets anger control him." Lily leaned into him. "I already respect you, Dad." "I know, but I want to earn it, every day." The doorbell rang. Jessica looked through the peephole and sighed. "Another reporter," she said. "This one has a news van." "Don't answer it," Ryan said. "What if they don't go away?" "Then we wait them out." Jessica stepped back from the door. The doorbell rang again, then again. Then a voice called through the door. "Mr. Mason, Mrs. Mason, I'm Sandra Chen from Channel 7 News. I was hoping to talk to you about the video that's going viral. Your story is inspiring millions of people. We'd love to give you a chance to tell your side." Ryan and Jessica looked at each other. "Millions," Jessica whispered. Ryan checked his phone again. His face went pale. "It's at 2 million views now," he said. "And there are dozens of articles. The hashtag #JustAMarine is trending." "Trending? What does that mean?" "It means the whole country is talking about us." Lily felt her stomach twist. She hadn't wanted this. She had just wanted to give her presentation. She had just wanted her dad to come home. "I don't want to be famous," she said quietly. Ryan knelt down in front of her. "Neither do I. Neither does your mom. But sometimes Lily moments choose us. We don't choose them." "What do you mean?" "I mean that what happened in that classroom touched something in people. It made them feel something. And now they want to know more. They want to understand." "Why?" "Because they've been hurt too. Or they've watched someone they love get hurt. And when they see you standing up for the truth, refusing to back down, they see themselves. They see what they wish they had done." Lily thought about that. "So this isn't just about me." "No, sweetheart. This is about every kid who's ever been told they weren't good enough. Every family that's been looked down on. Every person who's been judged for what they don't have instead of who they are. The doorbell rang again. Sandra Chen's voice came through the door once more urgent this time. "Mr. Mason, I have to tell you other networks are on their way. If you want to control this story, if you want to tell your truth, now is the time." Ryan looked at Jessica. Something passed between them, a wordless conversation that came from years of marriage, of separation, of learning to trust each other across impossible distances. "What do you think?" he asked. Jessica took a deep breath. "I think if we don't speak for ourselves, other people will speak for us. And they might get it wrong." "And you, Lilybug." Ryan turned to his daughter. "This affects you most of all. What do you want to do?" Lily looked at her father, at her mother, at Titan lying calmly on the couch. "I want people to know the truth," she said slowly. "Not because I want to be famous. Because maybe if they hear our story, they'll think twice before treating someone else the way Mrs. Crawford treated me." Ryan smiled. That real smile. The one that made his eyes crinkle at the corners. "That's my girl." He stood up and walked to the door. He paused with his hand on the knob, looking back at his family. "Ready." Jessica took Lily's hand. Titan jumped down from the couch and sat at attention beside them. "Ready," Jessica said. Ryan opened the door. Sandra Chen stood on the porch, microphone in hand, a cameraman behind her. Her eyes widened slightly when she saw Ryan in full uniform, Titan at his side. "Mr. Mason," she said, recovering quickly, "thank you for agreeing to speak with us." "I haven't agreed to anything yet." Ryan's voice was calm but firm. "Before we talk, I need to know something." "Of course. Are you here to tell the truth, or are you here to create drama?" Sandra paused. It was clear she hadn't expected the question. "I'm here because your daughter's courage moved me," she said finally. "I watched that video 6 times before I came here, and every time I cried. Not because of what the teacher did, because of how your daughter responded. She didn't scream. She didn't break down. She just stood there and told the truth." Ryan studied her face for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. "Come in." The interview lasted 2 hours. Sandra asked about Ryan's service, about Titan's training, about the sacrifices military families made. She asked Jessica about working double shifts while raising a daughter alone. She asked Lily about her presentation, about how it felt when Mrs. Crawford wrote those words on her paper. Lily answered every question honestly. "I felt small," she said at one point. "Like nothing I said mattered, like I didn't matter." "What changed that feeling?" Lily looked at her father. "He came. He promised he would, and he did. And when he walked through that door, I knew everything was going to be okay." "Because he defended you. Because he believed me." Lily's voice was steady. "Everyone else in that room thought I was making things up, but my dad knew I was telling the truth. He didn't need proof. He just knew." Sandra turned to Ryan. "What was going through your mind when you walked into that classroom?" Ryan was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "I've been in combat," he said. "I've faced enemy fire. I've made life and death decisions in split seconds. But nothing prepared me for seeing my daughter standing alone in front of a room full of people who had just told her that her reality wasn't real." "Were you angry?" "Furious. But I've learned that anger without control is just noise. I didn't want to make noise. I wanted to make a point." "And what was that point?" Ryan looked directly into the camera. "That every child deserves to be believed, that every family's sacrifice deserves respect, and that the measure of a person has nothing to do with their bank account or their job title or the clothes they wear. It has to do with their character, their integrity, their willingness to stand up for what's right even when it's hard." He paused. "My daughter stood alone in that classroom. She was 8 years old. She was scared, and she didn't back down. That's not something you can teach. That's something you're born with, and it's something you have to protect." The interview ended shortly after sunset. Sandra shook their hands and promised the piece would air that evening. She also warned them that the story was likely to get bigger before it got smaller. How much bigger? Jessica asked. Sandra hesitated. I've been in this business for 20 years. I've never seen anything spread this fast. You might want to prepare for a lot. She wasn't exaggerating. By the time the interview aired, the original video had crossed 10 million views. The hashtag had evolved, #JustAMarine, had been joined by Lily Strong and #BelieveOurKids. Celebrities were sharing it. Politicians were commenting on it. The story was everywhere. Ryan's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from old military buddies. Calls from news networks. Calls from organizations that wanted to honor Lily, to give her awards to fly the family somewhere for interviews. They declined almost everything. This isn't about fame, Ryan told Jessica late that night after Lily had finally fallen asleep. This is about our daughter, and I'm not going to let her become a circus act. Then what do? We let the story tell itself. We don't add to it. We don't milk it. We just live our lives and trust that the truth will find its way. Jessica leaned against him. When did you get so wise? 11 months alone in the desert. Lot of time to think. She laughed softly, then grew quiet. Ryan. Yeah. I'm so glad you're home. He wrapped his arms around her. So am I. The next morning, Lily woke up to find her father sitting on the edge of her bed. Hey, Lilybug. She rubbed her eyes. What time is it? Early. But I wanted to talk to you before things get crazy again. Lily sat up. Titan was lying at the foot of her bed watching her with those calm, intelligent eyes. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just wanted to say something. Ryan took her hand. Whatever happens next, however big this gets, or how small it fades, I want you to remember something. What? You didn't do this for attention. You didn't do it for fame. You did it because you believed in something, and you refused to let anyone take it from you. He squeezed her hand. That's the rarest thing in the world, Lily. Most people spend their whole lives trying to find that kind of courage. You already have it. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. I was scared, though. I know. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing the right thing anyway. That's what you always say. Because it's always true. She threw her arms around his neck and held on tight. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Lilybug, more than anything in the world. Outside, the sun was rising. More news vans were parked on the street. More reporters were waiting with cameras and microphones. But inside that room, in that moment, none of that mattered. A father had come home. A daughter had been heard. And the truth finally had been seen. 3 days after the video went viral, Principal Donald Whitmore called an emergency meeting. Ryan received the phone call at 7 a.m. The principal's voice was strained, careful like a man walking on glass. Sergeant Mason, I understand if you don't want to come. But I think it's important that you hear what we have to say. The school board will be there. The superintendent. And... He paused. Mrs. Crawford has requested to speak with you personally. Ryan felt his jaw tighten. Why would she want that? I honestly don't know, but she was very insistent. Jessica was standing in the kitchen doorway listening. She shook her head vigorously. I'll be there, Ryan said. Ryan, no. Jessica crossed the room the moment he hung up. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe her anything. I know. Then why go? Ryan looked toward Lily's room. The door was still closed. She was still sleeping, exhausted from days of interviews and attention and the weight of sudden fame. Because this isn't over, he said quietly. Not until we face it. All of it. What if it's a trap? What if they're trying to spin this, somehow make us look like the aggressors? Then I'll deal with that too. Ryan took her hands. Jess, I've walked into ambushes in Afghanistan. I've faced down enemies who wanted me dead. I'm not afraid of a school board meeting. Jessica laughed despite herself. You're impossible. That's why you married me. I married you because you were the only man stubborn enough to keep asking. 6 times? 7. You always forget the one at the gas station. Ryan grinned. It was the first real smile she'd seen from him since the classroom. That one doesn't count. You were already walking toward me. The meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. Ryan decided to go alone. Lily didn't need to relive the trauma, and Jessica's presence might inflame things further. Besides, he thought this was between him and the school, between him and Mrs. Crawford. He drove to Pinewood Elementary in civilian clothes, jeans, boots, a plain jacket. Titan sat in the passenger seat, calm and alert as always. "You ready, boy?" Ryan asked. Titan's tail wagged once. "Yeah, me neither." The parking lot was full. Ryan recognized several news vans kept at a distance by security personnel. A crowd had gathered near the entrance, parents, community members, some holding signs. "Believe our kids. Teachers should protect, not destroy. Just a Marine, just a hero." Ryan walked past them without stopping. He couldn't engage. Not now. Inside, a secretary led him to the main conference room. The door was closed. He could hear voices inside, multiple voices, tense and overlapping. "They're waiting for you," the secretary said. She looked nervous. "Sergeant Mason, for what it's worth, I thought what you did was incredible. My husband served in the Gulf War. I know what sacrifice means." "Thank you." Ryan meant it. He opened the door. The room fell silent. 12 people sat around a long table. Superintendent Margaret Chen at the head. Principal Whitmore to her left. 5 school board members in a row. The district's legal counsel, a woman Ryan didn't recognize, taking notes. And at the far end of the table alone sat Victoria Crawford. She looked different than he remembered, smaller somehow. The confidence that had radiated from her in the classroom was gone, replaced by something hollow. Her eyes were red. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched a tissue. "Sergeant Mason." Superintendent Chen stood. "Thank you for coming. Please have a seat." Ryan remained standing. Titan sat beside him, perfectly still. "I'll stand." A flicker of discomfort crossed the superintendent's face. "Very well. I want to begin by expressing on behalf of the entire school district our deepest apologies for what happened to your daughter." "I appreciate that, but I didn't come here for apologies." "Then why did you come?" Ryan looked directly at Mrs. Crawford. She flinched under his gaze. "I came to understand," he said. "To look the woman who hurt my daughter in the eye and understand why." The room went very quiet. Mrs. Crawford's voice emerged thin and broken. I don't have a good answer." "Try." She pressed the tissue to her eyes. "I made assumptions. Terrible assumptions. I looked at your wife working double shifts at Lily, coming to school in simple clothes, and I thought I knew what kind of family you were." "What kind is that?" "The kind that exaggerates, the kind that makes up stories to seem more important than they are." She shook her head. "I was wrong. So completely, horrifyingly wrong. You didn't just think it. You said it. In front of 23 children. You wrote 'not verified' on my daughter's work in red ink. You let other students mock her." "I know." "Do you understand what that did to her?" Mrs. Crawford's face crumpled. "I'm starting to." "Starting to." Ryan's voice hardened. "My daughter spent 11 months waiting for me, praying for me, writing me letters she wasn't sure I'd ever read. She worked for 2 weeks on that presentation. 2 weeks of drawing pictures and practicing her speech, and believing that when she stood up in front of her class, someone would listen." He stepped closer. "And you destroyed that. In 5 minutes, you destroyed her trust in adults. Her belief that teachers protect children. Her confidence in herself." "I'm sorry." "Sorry isn't enough." Ryan's voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The weight of it filled the room. "Sorry is what you say when you step on someone's foot. What you did was cruelty. Calculated, deliberate cruelty." "It wasn't calculated." "Wasn't it?" Ryan pulled out his phone. "I've watched that video 50 times. You knew what you were doing. You chose every word. You marked her paper before she even finished speaking." Mrs. Crawford had no response. Superintendent Chen cleared her throat. "Sergeant Mason, I understand your anger. It's entirely justified. But we called this meeting because Mrs. Crawford has something she wants to say. We believe it's important that you hear it." "Then say it." Mrs. Crawford stood slowly. Her legs seemed unsteady. She gripped the edge of the table for support. "I've been teaching for 22 years. She began, her voice wavering. 22 years in this district. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I understood children." She paused, gathering herself. "But I didn't understand your daughter. I looked at her and saw what I expected to see. A quiet girl from a struggling family. The kind of student who fades into the background." "Lily doesn't fade." "No, she doesn't." Mrs. Crawford met his eyes for the first time. "She shines, and I was too blind to see it." She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. Her hands shook as she opened it. "After the video went viral, I started receiving messages. Hundreds of them. Most were angry. They called me names I won't repeat. They said I should lose my job, my career, well, you can imagine." "I don't need to imagine. I've seen them." "But some of the messages were different." She pulled out printed emails. "These are from former students. From parents I taught years ago. They told me stories I had forgotten. Times when I dismissed them. Times when I made them feel small." She held out the papers toward Ryan. "I didn't remember any of it, but they did. They remembered every word." Ryan didn't take the papers. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need you to understand something." Tears streamed down her face now. "I'm not a monster. I'm a person who made terrible choices, who let bias and prejudice shape how I treated children, and until 3 days ago, I didn't even know I was doing it." "Ignorance isn't an excuse." "No, it's not." She set down the papers. "That's why I'm resigning." The room erupted. Board members started talking over each other. Superintendent Chen called for order. Principal Whitmore looked like he was about to faint. "What?" The superintendent's voice cut through the noise. "Victoria, we haven't even finished the investigation." "You don't need to finish it. I know what I did. I know it was wrong. And I know I don't deserve to stand in front of another classroom." She turned back to Ryan. "I'm not doing this because of the video. I'm not doing this because of public pressure or fear of being fired." She took a shaky breath. "I'm doing this because of your daughter." Ryan waited. "When I watched the video, really watched it, I saw something I'll never forget. That moment when you walked through the door, when Lily ran to you and you caught her. The look on her face." Mrs. Crawford's voice broke. She looked like she'd been drowning, and someone finally threw her a rope, and I was the one who pushed her into the water. The room was completely silent. I've asked myself 1,000 times, how many children have I done that to? How many students walked out of my classroom feeling worthless because I couldn't see past my own assumptions? She shook her head. "I don't know the answer, but I know I can't keep teaching until I do." Ryan studied her face. He had seen a lot of people apologize in his life. Some meant it, most didn't. He had learned to tell the difference. This one meant it. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I don't know. Therapy, probably. A lot of it. And if any of those former students want to talk to me, want to tell me how I hurt them, I'll listen. I'll sit there and listen to every word." "That won't fix what you did." "No, it won't. But it might help me understand who I became, and maybe prevent someone else from becoming the same thing." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Everyone in the room held their breath. "My daughter," Ryan said finally, "told me something yesterday. She said she didn't want you to be hurt. She said maybe nobody ever taught you how to be different." Mrs. Crawford's hand flew to her mouth. "She's 8 years old, and she has more grace than anyone in this room." Ryan's voice was rough. "Including me." He stepped forward. "I don't forgive you. I'm not there yet. Maybe I never will be. Mrs. Crawford nodded, accepting. But I respect what you're doing, walking away instead of fighting, admitting fault instead of making excuses. That takes something. It takes a lot less than what your daughter showed in that classroom. You're right about that. Ryan extended his hand. Mrs. Crawford stared at it like it might bite her. This isn't forgiveness, he repeated. It's acknowledgement that you're trying to be better. Slowly trembling, she took his hand. Thank you, she whispered. Tell Lily. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her she was right about everything. And tell her... She choked on the words. Tell her she's exactly the kind of person this world needs more of. I'll tell her. Ryan released her hand and turned to face the rest of the table. I came here expecting a fight, he said. I came here ready to demand accountability, consequences, punishment. No one spoke. But I'm a father before I'm a soldier, and as a father, I have to ask myself, what lesson do I want my daughter to learn from this? He looked at each of them in turn. She could learn that when you're wronged, you destroy the person who hurt you. You use every weapon at your disposal to make them suffer. He shook his head slowly. Or she could learn that real strength isn't about winning. It's about knowing when to stop fighting. Knowing when victory becomes cruelty. Knowing how to hold people accountable while still leaving room for redemption. He turned back to Mrs. Crawford. You failed my daughter, but you're choosing to face that failure instead of running from it. That matters. Mrs. Crawford was crying openly now. She wasn't alone. Several board members were wiping their eyes. Even the superintendent's professional mask had cracked. Sergeant Mason, Superintendent Chen said, her voice unsteady. What would you like to see happen? I want policy changes, real ones. No child should ever be humiliated in front of their peers for who their family is. No student's presentation should be judged by assumptions instead of facts. We've already begun drafting new guidelines. Draft faster, implement them immediately, and don't let this become a memo that gets filed away and forgotten. It won't. You have my word. I also want support for military families, resources, understanding, recognition that when a parent deploys, the whole family serves. We can do that. And I want an assembly. Not about what happened to Lily, about respect, about seeing people for who they are instead of who you think they are. Consider it done. Ryan nodded. He turned toward the door, then stopped. One more thing. Everyone tensed. My daughter doesn't want to be famous. She doesn't want awards or ceremonies or interviews. She just wants to go back to being a normal kid. We can arrange for... You don't need to arrange anything. Just treat her normally. That's all she's ever wanted. He walked out of the room with Titan at his side. Behind him, the silence stretched for a long moment. Then quietly, someone started to clap. Another person joined in, then another. By the time Ryan reached the front door, the whole room was applauding. He didn't turn around. He didn't need the validation. He had said what needed to be said. The rest was up to them. Outside, the crowd was still gathered. They had grown larger while he was inside. Someone must have been updating them, because the moment Ryan appeared, they started cheering. He raised a hand in acknowledgement, but didn't stop to talk. He walked to his car, opened the door for Titan, and got in. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, not from anger, from the effort of holding everything together for so long. He sat in the parking lot for a full minute, just breathing. Then his phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. How did it go? He typed back. Better than expected. She's resigning. A pause. Then, wow, are you okay? He thought about the question, about the meeting, about Mrs. Crawford's tears, about the choice between vengeance and grace. Yeah, he typed. I think I am. He started the car and drove home. Lily was waiting on the porch when he pulled up. She ran to him before he even got out of the car. Dad? What happened? Mom said you went to the school. She said Mrs. Crawford wanted to talk to you. What did she say? Is everything okay? Ryan caught her and lifted her up, holding her tight. Everything's okay, Lilybug. But what happened? He set her down and knelt to her level. Mrs. Crawford apologized. Really apologized. And she's going to stop teaching. Lily's eyes went wide. Because of me. Because of what she realized about herself. You just helped her see it. Is she okay? Ryan smiled at his daughter, 8 years old, worried about the woman who had hurt her. She will be, eventually. Good. Lily nodded seriously. I didn't want her to be sad forever. Just long enough to learn. I think she's learning. Then that's enough. Ryan stood up and took her hand. Come on. Let's go inside. I think we've all had enough drama for 1 week. Can we have ice cream? It's 10 in the morning. Is that a no? Ryan laughed. It's a, let me think about it. That means yes. It means, let me think about it. Dad, I saved your reputation and became a national hero. I think I've earned ice cream. He stared at her. She stared back completely serious. Then he burst out laughing. Fine, ice cream. But just this once. You always say that. And I always mean it. They walked inside together, Titan trotting behind them. Jessica met them at the door, her face anxious. Well, Ryan said, our daughter has negotiated herself some ice cream at 10 in the morning. That's not what I meant. I know. He pulled her into a hug. It's over. Really over. And Mrs. Crawford? Gone, by her own choice. She's got a lot of work to do on herself. Jessica sagged against him. I can't believe it. Neither can I, honestly. He looked at Lily, who was already rummaging in the freezer. But I think our daughter taught us all something. What's that? That sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting. It's standing still and telling the truth. Jessica smiled. She gets that from you. No. Ryan shook his head. She gets that from herself. From the kitchen, Lily's voice rang out. Dad, we only have vanilla. This is a chocolate emergency. Ryan sighed. Duty calls. Go. I'll handle the reporters still camped outside. You sure? I've handled 11 months of you being gone. I can handle a few cameras. He kissed her forehead. I love you. I love you too. Now go give our daughter ice cream. She's earned it. Ryan walked into the kitchen where Lily stood with the freezer door open, looking genuinely distressed. We can get chocolate later, he said. But vanilla is so plain. Plain can be good. It's what you put on top that matters. Lily considered this. That sounds like a metaphor. It is. I'm 8. I don't do metaphors before lunch. Ryan laughed and pulled her into another hug. Fair enough. Vanilla it is. They sat at the kitchen table together, eating ice cream at 10 in the morning while the world outside buzzed with their story. But inside in that moment, they were just a father and daughter, finally together. And that was the only story that really mattered. 2 weeks passed. The media circus gradually faded. The news vans disappeared from their street. The interview requests slowed to a trickle. Life began to return to something resembling normal. But normal, as the Mason family was learning, was never quite the same after everything changed. Lily returned to school on a Monday morning. Ryan drove her himself, Titan sitting in the back seat like a furry guardian angel. You nervous? Ryan asked as they pulled into the parking lot. A little. That's okay. Brave doesn't mean not nervous. I know, Dad. You've told me like a million times. Has it sunk in yet? She smiled. Maybe. They walked to the front door together. Ryan felt the eyes on them, parents dropping off their kids' teachers arriving for work, everyone trying not to stare while absolutely staring. At the entrance, Ryan knelt down to Lily's level. I'll be right here at 3:15, on the dot. You don't have to pick me up. Mom can. I want to. Lily studied his face. Dad, are you okay? Why do you ask? Because you look sad, even when you're smiling. Ryan felt something tighten in his chest. His daughter saw too much, always had. "I'm not sad," he said carefully. "I'm just adjusting. Being home is different than being deployed." "Different how?" "It's quieter, slower. I'm not used to it yet." "Is that bad?" "No, Lilybug. It's good. It's really good. I'm just learning how to be a regular person again." She threw her arms around his neck. "You were never regular. You're my dad. That's better than regular." Ryan held her tight, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, feeling the smallness of her against him. 11 months. He had missed 11 months of this. "Go learn something," he said, releasing her. "I'll try, but Mrs. Patterson talks really slow." "Be patient with her. She's new." "I know. She's nice, though. Way nicer than—" Lily stopped. "It's okay. You can say her name." "Mrs. Crawford." Lily's voice was quiet. "I heard she's getting help, like therapy help." "That's right." "Is that because of me?" "It's because of what she realized about herself. You just helped her see it." Lily nodded slowly. "I hope she gets better." "Me too." She turned and walked toward the entrance. Halfway there, she stopped and looked back. "Dad?" "Yeah. Thanks for always coming back." Ryan's throat closed. He couldn't speak. He just nodded. Lily smiled and disappeared through the doors. Ryan stood there for a long moment, watching the empty doorway. Titan pressed against his leg, sensing something. "I'm okay, boy," Ryan murmured. But he wasn't sure if he was telling the truth. The drive home was quiet. Ryan tried to focus on the road, but his mind kept drifting. To the classroom, to Mrs. Crawford's face, to the video that had been watched by 50 million people. 50 million. He still couldn't wrap his head around that number. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again, and again. At a red light, he glanced at the screen. 3 missed calls from Sergeant Major Phillips. A text message. "Call me immediately. Urgent." Ryan's stomach dropped. He pulled over and dialed. Phillips answered on the first ring. "Mason, we need to talk." "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong exactly, but there's been a development. The Commandant of the Marine Corps watched the video." Ryan felt the blood drain from his face. "The Commandant, General Harrison himself. He wants to meet you. And your daughter." "Meet us? Why?" "Because you've become the most visible Marine in America, Ryan, and he wants to personally thank you for representing the Corps the way you did." Ryan didn't know what to say. "There's more," Phillips continued. "The Secretary of Defense has requested a meeting as well, and there's talk of a ceremony at the Pentagon." "A ceremony? For Lily? They want to give her some kind of recognition. I don't have all the details yet, but this is coming from the highest levels." Ryan leaned his head against the steering wheel. "I don't want this," he said quietly. "I didn't do this for recognition." "I know, but sometimes recognition finds you anyway. My daughter just wants to be normal." "I understand. But Ryan, this isn't just about your daughter. It's about every military family in America. They saw themselves in that video. They saw their own kids being dismissed, their own sacrifices being ignored. What happened to Lily touched something deep in people. That doesn't mean she should be paraded around like a trophy. No one's talking about parading anyone. This would be a private ceremony. Dignified, respectful, the kind of thing that sends a message to every teacher and every school board in the country." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. "I need to talk to my wife, and to Lily." "Of course, take your time, but not too much time. The Commandant doesn't like to wait." "He'll wait for my daughter." Phillips laughed. "That's exactly why he wants to meet her." Ryan hung up and sat in silence, staring at nothing. Titan whined softly. "I know, boy. Things just got complicated again." He drove home slowly, trying to figure out how to explain this to Jessica, to Lily, to himself. When he walked through the door, Jessica was waiting. "What's wrong?" she asked immediately. You look like you've seen a ghost. Not a ghost, worse. He set his keys on the counter. The Commandant of the Marine Corps wants to meet Lily. Jessica's mouth fell open. And the Secretary of Defense. And there's talk of a ceremony at the Pentagon. The Pentagon. They want to recognize her. Officially. Jessica sat down heavily on the kitchen chair. This is insane. I know. We just wanted to be normal again. I know. And now the Pentagon. Ryan sat across from her. Titan settled at his feet. We don't have to do it, he said. We can say no. Can we really say no to the Commandant of the Marine Corps? We can say no to anyone. This is our family, our decision. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. What do you think we should do? Ryan considered the question carefully. I think this isn't just about us. It's about every military kid who's ever been told their parent doesn't matter. Every family that's sacrificed without recognition. But it's Lily who would have to go through it. Which is why we need to ask her. Jessica nodded slowly. You're right. It's her decision. When she gets home, we'll talk to her. Together. And if she says no, then we say no. End of story. Jessica reached across the table and took his hand. Have I told you lately how much I love you? Not since this morning. I love you. Even when you bring home impossible situations. Especially when I bring home impossible situations. She laughed. That too. Lily came home at 3:20. Ryan had been waiting at the school like he promised, and she had bounded out of the building with a smile on her face. Good day, he asked. Great day, Mrs. Patterson. Let me read my presentation again. The real one, not the one Mrs. Crawford marked, and everyone clapped at the end. Tyler Morrison even said my dad was the coolest Marine ever. His words, not mine. Sounds like progress. Progress is slow but real. Mrs. Patterson says that a lot. She sounds smart. She's old, but smart. Now they were home, gathered around the kitchen table. Lily sensed something was different immediately. Why are you both looking at me like that? Ryan glanced at Jessica. She nodded. Lilybug, we got some news today. Something unexpected. Good unexpected or bad unexpected? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. He explained everything. The Commandant, the Secretary of Defense, the ceremony. He used simple words, but he didn't hide anything. Lily deserved the truth. When he finished, Lily was quiet for a long time. So they want to give me an award, she finally asked. Something like that. At the Pentagon. Yes. Would I have to give a speech? I don't know. Maybe a short one. Lily was quiet again. What do you think, sweetheart? Jessica asked gently. How do you feel about this? I feel confused. That's okay. Confused is okay. I didn't do anything special. I just told the truth about my dad. That was special, Lily. More special than you know. But it shouldn't be special. Everybody should tell the truth about their families. Ryan felt his heart swell with pride. His daughter got it. Really got it. You're right, he said. It shouldn't be special, but in a world where people are often afraid to speak up, it is. And that's why they want to recognize you. Will it help other kids? Kids whose parents are in the military? I think so. I hope so. Lily thought about this. Then I'll do it. Are you sure you don't have to? I know I don't have to, but if it helps people... She shrugged. Isn't that what Marines do? Help people? Ryan couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. Jessica was crying silently. You make me so proud, she whispered. Mom, you're leaking again. Happy tears. These are happy tears. You've been having a lot of happy tears lately. I have a lot to be happy about. Ryan reached out and pulled Lily into a hug. You know what, Lilybug, you're a better person than me. That's not true. It is. I've spent my whole career fighting. Fighting enemies. Fighting obstacles. Fighting my own demons. But you? He pulled back to look at her. You find a way to win without fighting. I fight. Just with words. That's the best kind of fighting. Lily smiled. Can I call Maya and tell her I'm going to the Pentagon? After dinner? Fine. But this is huge news, and she's my best friend, and she deserves to know immediately. After dinner, Lily. You're so strict. I'm a Marine. It's in the job description. She rolled her eyes but smiled. Then she looked at Titan, who had been watching the whole conversation with patient eyes. Titan, you're coming too, right? You have to come. You're part of the story. The dog's tail wagged once. I'll take that as a yes, Lily said. 3 days later, the phone rang at 6 a.m. Ryan was already awake. Old habits died hard, but Jessica groaned and pulled the pillow over her head. If that's another reporter, I'm going to scream. Ryan checked the caller ID. His face went pale. It's not a reporter. Then who? It's the White House. Jessica sat up so fast she nearly fell out of bed. What? Ryan answered the call. Sergeant Mason, please hold for the president. Ryan's heart stopped. A click. A brief silence. Then a voice he recognized from 1,000 news broadcasts. Sergeant Mason, good morning. I hope I'm not calling too early. No, sir, Mr. President, I was already up. Of course you were. Marines don't sleep right. We sleep. We just do it efficiently. The president laughed. I've heard that. Listen, I'll get straight to the point. I watched the video of what happened to your daughter. I've watched it several times, actually. And I have to tell you, it moved me. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. I haven't gotten to the ask. A brief pause. I'd like to invite your family to the White House. A private visit. No press, no cameras. Just a chance for me to personally thank your daughter for her courage. Ryan felt the room spinning. Mr. President, I don't know what to say. Say yes, or say no. But don't say maybe. I've got a full schedule and I hate uncertainty. Despite everything, Ryan laughed. Yes, sir, we'll come. Excellent. My office will be in touch with the details. And Sergeant Mason. Sir. Thank you for your service, all of it. The deployments, the sacrifices, the years away from your family. But especially thank you for raising a daughter who reminded America what courage looks like. She gets it from her mother, sir. Well, thank her mother for me, too. The line went dead. Ryan stared at the phone. Jessica stared at him. What just happened? We're going to the White House. Jessica grabbed his arm. Ryan, stop joking. I'm not joking. The president just called. He wants to meet Lily. The President of the United States. Unless there's another one I don't know about. Jessica sat in stunned silence. This is insane, she finally said. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. Should we wake Lily? No, let her sleep. She'll need her rest for... Jessica shook her head. For meeting the President of the United States. Oh my God. I know. Our daughter is going to meet the president. I know. Because she gave a school presentation about her dad. Apparently. Jessica burst out laughing. Hysterical, disbelieving laughter that went on until tears streamed down her face. Ryan watched her confused. What's so funny? Everything. She wiped her eyes. 3 weeks ago, we were a normal family. You were deployed. I was working double shifts. Lily was getting bullied by her teacher. And now we're going to the White House. Now we're going to the White House. She laughed again. This is not how I thought my life would go. Is that a complaint? No. She took his hand. It's an observation. I married a Marine. I expected deployments and danger and sacrifice. I didn't expect my 8-year-old to become a national hero. She's not a hero. Ryan, she is. She absolutely is. And so are you. I'm just a guy who got on a plane. You're a guy who kept his promise. Who showed up when it mattered. who reminded the whole country what a real father looks like. Ryan didn't have words for that, so he just pulled her close and held her. "We're going to the White House," he murmured into her hair. "We're going to the White House." Titan, lying in the corner, lifted his head and watched them with knowing eyes. "You're coming too, buddy," Ryan said. "Wouldn't be right without you." The dog's tail wagged once. "That's twice today," Jessica said. "He must be excited." "He's a military dog. He doesn't get excited. He gets professionally interested." "Is that what we're calling it?" "That's what I'm calling it." They held each other in the early morning light, trying to wrap their heads around a reality that kept getting more unbelievable. But through it all, one thing remained constant. They were together, their family was whole, and whatever came next, they would face it the same way they had faced everything else, as a team. Later that morning, Ryan sat Lily down and told her about the phone call. She listened quietly, her face showing every emotion: surprise, disbelief, excitement, fear. "The president," she repeated when he finished. "The president. The actual president. The actual president. Dad, this is crazy." "I know. I'm 8. I know. 8-year-olds don't meet the president. Apparently this one does." Lily was quiet for a long moment. "Will I have to wear a dress?" Ryan laughed. "Probably." "I hate dresses." "I know you do." "Can I wear my sneakers under it?" "We'll negotiate." Lily smiled. But then her face grew serious. "Dad, why is all this happening?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, I just gave a presentation, that's all. And now there's videos and news and the Pentagon and the president and... It's so much. Why does anyone care?" Ryan thought carefully about how to answer. "Do you remember what I told you about ripples?" "You mean like in water?" "Exactly. When you throw a stone into a pond, it creates ripples. They spread out and out, touching things you never expected." "Okay." "When you stood up in that classroom and told the truth, you threw a stone. A small stone, you thought. Just your story. Just your words. But those words created ripples that are still spreading. But why? Because people were ready to hear it. Because millions of families have felt the same thing. You felt invisible, dismissed, looked down on. And when they saw you refuse to accept it, something woke up inside them." Lily considered this. "So I accidentally started something. Something good. Something important. And now I have to see it through." Ryan shook his head. "No, you don't have to do anything. We can stop this anytime you want. We can go back to our normal life and let the world forget about us." "Would the world forget? Eventually, everything fades." Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at him with those clear, honest eyes. "I don't want to fade yet," she said. "I want to see where the ripples go." Ryan smiled. "Then let's go see the president." The morning of the White House visit, Lily woke up before her alarm for the first time in weeks. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her stomach doing strange flips. Today was the day. Today she would meet the President of the United States. "This is crazy," she whispered to herself. "This is absolutely crazy." Titan, who had taken to sleeping in her room since Ryan came home, lifted his head and looked at her. "You think it's crazy too, right?" The dog's tail wagged once. "That's what I thought." She got out of bed and padded to the bathroom. In the mirror, she saw a face she almost didn't recognize. 3 weeks ago, she had been invisible. The quiet girl in the corner. The one teachers forgot to call on. Now she was going to the White House. How did this happen? She asked her reflection. Her reflection didn't answer. She found her parents already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with coffee cups that had gone cold. Neither of them looked like they had slept. "Morning, Lilybug," Ryan said. His voice was steady, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. "Morning, Dad. You look tired." "Couldn't sleep." "Me neither." Jessica stood up and wrapped her in a hug. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" Nervous, excited, confused, all at the same time. That sounds about right. Mom, what if I say something wrong? What if I embarrass everyone? Jessica pulled back and looked at her daughter. Lily, you stood in front of your entire class and told the truth when a teacher was trying to silence you. You faced down a woman twice your size without flinching. You handled national media attention with more grace than most adults I know. She cupped Lily's face in her hands. You're not going to embarrass anyone. You're going to make us proud. You always do. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. Thanks, Mom. Now go get dressed. That dress isn't going to put itself on. Lily groaned. Do I have to wear the dress? Yes. But yeah, yes. What if I... Lily Marie Mason. Dress, now. Lily trudged back to her room defeated. Behind her, she heard her father laughing. She really does hate dresses, Ryan said. She'll survive. This is the White House. There are limits. An hour later, they were ready. Lily stood in her blue dress, her hair brushed and styled by her mother, her feet in the one pair of nice shoes she owned. She felt uncomfortable and strange, like she was wearing someone else's skin. You look beautiful, Ryan said. I look like a doll. A very pretty doll. Dad, that's not helping. Jessica appeared with a camera. Let me get a picture before we go. Mom, no. Just one. For the family album. Lily sighed, but stood still, while her mother took approximately 47 photos from every possible angle. Okay, Jessica finally said. I think we're good. Can we go now? We can go now. The drive to the airport was quiet. A military transport was waiting to take them to Washington. Lily had never been on a plane before, and despite everything, she felt a flutter of excitement. Dad is flying scary. Not really. It's like being in a car but higher. What if we crash? We won't crash. But what if we do? Ryan turned to look at her. Lily, I've flown in helicopters through enemy territory, through sandstorms, through conditions that would terrify most pilots. If I can survive that, a smooth flight to Washington is nothing. That doesn't actually make me feel better. Would it help if I held your hand? Lily considered this. Maybe. Then I'll hold your hand. The flight was smooth, just like Ryan promised. Lily spent most of it looking out the window, watching the clouds drift by beneath them. Titan lay at her feet, calm as always. He's not scared, Lily said. He's been on a lot of flights. Do you think he knows where we're going? I think he knows we're going somewhere important. Dogs sense these things. He's a good dog. The best. They landed at Andrews Air Force Base, where a black SUV was waiting. Men in suits opened doors and spoke into earpieces and moved with a precision that reminded Lily of her father's military friends. This is very fancy, she whispered. It's the government, Ryan whispered back. They like fancy. Do you like fancy? I like you. Dad, that's not an answer. It's the only answer that matters. The drive to the White House took 20 minutes. Lily spent every second of it with her face pressed to the window, trying to see everything at once. When the building came into view, she gasped. It's so big, she breathed. It's the most famous house in the world, Jessica said. Can we live here? No. Why not? Because you have to be the president. What if I become the president? Ryan laughed. Then we'll talk about it. They were met at the entrance by a woman in a crisp suit who introduced herself as Rachel, the president's aide. The president is very excited to meet you, Lily, Rachel said with a warm smile. I'm excited too, and nervous, mostly nervous. That's completely normal. But I promise he's very nice. He has grandchildren about your age. Does he let them eat ice cream for breakfast? Rachel blinked. I don't know. My dad does, but only on special occasions. Today might qualify as a special occasion. Lily brightened. I'll remember that. They were led through hallways that seemed to go on forever. Lily tried to take in everything: the paintings, the furniture, the sheer weight of history in every corner, but it was overwhelming. Finally, they stopped in front of a large wooden door. "The Oval Office," Rachel said. "Are you ready?" Lily looked at her father. He nodded. "Ready," she said. The door opened. The president stood in the center of the room, taller than Lily expected, with gray hair and kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He wore a suit, but his tie was slightly loosened, giving him a more relaxed appearance than Lily had seen on television. "The Mason family," he said, stepping forward. "I've been looking forward to this." Ryan saluted automatically. "Mr. President." "At ease, Sergeant. This isn't a formal occasion." The president's smile widened. "Well, not too formal anyway." He turned to Lily and his expression softened. "And you must be Lily." "Yes, sir." Her voice came out smaller than she intended. "I've heard a lot about you, seen a lot about you too." He knelt down so he was at her level. "You know what I thought when I watched that video?" "What?" "I thought that little girl has more courage than half the politicians in this city." Lily didn't know what to say to that. "Thank you," she tried. The president laughed. "You're welcome. It was a compliment." He stood and gestured to the chairs arranged in a circle. "Please sit down. Let's talk." They sat. Lily found herself in a chair that seemed way too big for her feet barely touching the ground. Titan lay beside her, his presence reassuring. "I understand that dog is quite famous too," the president said, nodding at Titan. "His name is Titan," Lily said. "He works with my dad. They save lives together." "I've read his file. Impressive record." "He's the bravest dog in the world." "Second bravest," Ryan corrected. "I've served with some brave dogs." "But Titan is the best," Lily insisted. The president smiled. "Loyal to the end. I like that." For the next hour they talked. The president asked about Ryan's service, about Jessica's work at the hospital, about Lily's school and friends and hobbies. He was easy to talk to, warmer than Lily had expected, more human. At one point, he leaned forward and looked at Lily seriously. "Can I tell you something, Lily?" "Okay." "When I was your age, I was shy, quiet. I didn't like speaking up in class. I was afraid people would laugh at me." "Really?" "Really. And one day a teacher told me that my ideas didn't matter, that I should just stay quiet and let the smart kids talk." Lily felt her chest tighten. "That's terrible." It was. And for a long time I believed her. I stayed quiet. I didn't share my thoughts. I let other people speak for me. "What changed?" The president smiled. "My mother. She told me something I've never forgotten. She said, 'Your voice is a gift. Don't let anyone tell you it's not worth hearing.' That's what my dad says too. Your dad is a smart man. He's a Marine. Even smarter than." They laughed together, and something in the room shifted. The formality melted away. They were just people talking, sharing, connecting. "Lily," the president said, "what you did in that classroom changed things. Not just for you, but for kids all across this country. Do you understand that?" "I think so. Dad calls it ripples." "Ripples. I like that." He nodded slowly. "You threw a stone, and the ripples are still spreading. Schools are changing their policies. Teachers are being retrained. Military families are being treated with more respect. Because of me. Because of you. Because you refused to be silent when someone tried to silence you." Lily felt tears building behind her eyes. "I was just telling the truth." "The truth is the most powerful thing in the world, and you wielded it better than most adults I know." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "I have something for you." Lily's eyes went wide. "For me." He opened the box. Inside was a metal gold and gleaming with an eagle on the front. "This is the Presidential Medal of Courage," he said. "It's not given out often. In fact, I've only given 3 in my entire term, but I believe you've earned it." Lily couldn't speak. She stared at the medal, her vision blurring with tears. "This is for standing up when it would have been easier to sit down. for speaking when it would have been safer to stay silent, for reminding us all what courage really looks like. He pinned the medal to her dress. "Wear it with pride, Lily Mason. You've earned every bit of it." Jessica was crying openly. Ryan's jaw was tight, his eyes glistening. Lily looked down at the medal, then up at the president. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll try to be worthy of it." "You already are." He stood and offered his hand. "Now I believe there's someone else who wants to meet you." Someone else. The door opened and a woman walked in. Lily recognized her immediately, the First Lady, elegant and warm, her smile genuine. "Is this the famous Lily?" the First Lady asked. "Yes, ma'am. I've been wanting to meet you for weeks." She knelt down just as her husband had. "Do you know what my favorite part of the video was?" Lily shook her head. "When your father walked through that door and you ran to him. The look on your face." The First Lady's eyes glistened. Pure love. Pure trust. That's what family is supposed to look like. "My dad always keeps his promises." "I know. That's why the next part meant so much." "What next part?" "When you picked up your presentation and finished it, even after everything that had happened. You didn't give up." Lily hadn't thought about it that way. "I just wanted to tell them about my dad." "And you did, beautifully." The First Lady stood. "Would you like to see the rest of the White House? I'd love to give you a personal tour." Lily looked at her parents. They both nodded, smiling. "Yes, please." The tour lasted 2 hours. The First Lady showed them everything: the Lincoln bedroom, the Rose Garden, the private theater, the bowling alley hidden in the basement. Lily asked a million questions, and the First Lady answered every one with patience and warmth. At one point, they stopped in front of a portrait. "Do you know who this is?" the First Lady asked. Lily studied the face. "Abraham Lincoln." "That's right. Do you know what he's famous for?" "He freed the slaves." "He did. But do you know what else he did?" Lily shook her head. "He stood up for what was right even when everyone told him he was wrong. Even when it cost him friends, allies, his reputation. He believed in something, and he refused to back down." The First Lady turned to look at Lily. "Sound familiar?" Lily felt a flush creep up her cheeks. "I'm not Lincoln." "No, you're Lily Mason. And that's exactly who you need to be." When the tour ended, they returned to the Oval Office for photographs. Official photographers captured the Mason family with the President and First Lady, with Titan sitting proudly between them. "One more," the photographer said. "Just Lily and the President." Lily stood beside the most powerful man in the world, wearing a medal she never expected to receive, feeling like she was dreaming. "Lily," the President said quietly, so only she could hear. "Can I give you one piece of advice?" "Okay." "Don't let this moment define you." She looked up at him, confused. "This is wonderful. This is special. But it's just one day. What matters is what you do tomorrow. And the day after. And every day for the rest of your life. What should I do? Keep being yourself. Keep telling the truth. Keep standing up for what's right." He smiled. "The rest will take care of itself." The camera flashed. That evening, the Mason family flew home. Lily slept through most of the flight, exhausted from the most overwhelming day of her life. She woke up as they were landing, the medal still pinned to her dress. "Dad," she murmured sleepily. "Yeah, Lilybug. Did today really happen?" "It really happened. I met the President." "You did. And the First Lady." "Her too. And I got a medal." "A very special medal." Lily was quiet for a moment. "Dad?" "Yeah. Can we go back to normal now?" Ryan laughed softly. "What's normal?" "I don't know. School, homework, ice cream on special occasions." She paused. "You being home?" Ryan reached over and took her hand. "That sounds perfect." They drove home through quiet streets. It was late past Lily's bedtime, but no one suggested stopping. They were all lost in their own thoughts. When they pulled into the driveway, Lily saw something that made her gasp. The front yard was full of people. Neighbors, friends, families she recognized from school. They held signs and candles, creating a warm glow in the darkness. "Welcome home, Lily. Our hero. Pinewood is proud." Lily's hand flew to her mouth. "What is this?" she whispered. "I think," Jessica said, her voice thick with emotion, "this is your community saying thank you." They got out of the car. The crowd surged forward, but respectfully keeping their distance. Maya broke through first, running to Lily and throwing her arms around her. "You met the president!" Maya shrieked. "You actually met the president." "I know. It was crazy." "Was he nice?" "Really nice. He told me I was brave." "You are brave. I've been telling everyone that for weeks." Mrs. Patterson, Lily's new teacher, approached with tears in her eyes. "Lily, I just want you to know how proud we all are. You've inspired so many people." "Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. Thank you for reminding us what teaching is supposed to be about." One by one, people came forward. Some had stories of their own times they had been dismissed or overlooked, times they wished they had spoken up. Others simply wanted to shake Lily's hand, to touch something good in a world that often felt dark. Through it all, Lily stood with her family. Her father on one side, her mother on the other. Titan at her feet. Home. Later that night, after the crowd had dispersed and the house had grown quiet, Lily sat on the porch with her father. "Big day," Ryan said. "The biggest. How do you feel?" Lily thought about the question. Grateful, overwhelmed, tired. She paused. "Happy. That's a good combination." "Dad." "Yeah. Do you think things will go back to normal now?" Ryan was quiet for a moment. "I think normal is different now. I think we're different. But different isn't bad." "What kind of different?" "The kind where we know what we're capable of. The kind where we've been tested and came through stronger." Lily leaned against him. "I'm glad you're home." "Me too, Lilybug. More than you'll ever know." They sat together in the darkness, father and daughter, watching the stars. "Dad, remember the glow-in-the-dark stars you put on my ceiling before you deployed?" "I remember. You said when I miss you, I should look up. And you'd be looking at the same stars." "Did it help?" "Sometimes. Sometimes I still felt far away." "I'm sorry." "Don't be, because now," she looked up at the real stars scattered across the night sky. "Now we can look at them together." Ryan's arm tightened around her. "Together," he repeated. "That's exactly where I want to be." From inside the house, Jessica watched them through the window. Her husband, her daughter, the two people she loved most in the world. She thought about everything they had been through, the deployments, the absences, the fear and the loneliness and the endless waiting, and she thought about what they had now, a family whole again, a daughter who had found her voice, a husband who had finally come home. It wasn't perfect. Life never was. There would be more challenges, more struggles, more moments when the world felt too heavy to bear. But they would face them together. That was what the Mason family did. 6 months later, Lily stood in front of her class again. It was the annual My Hero presentation. Mrs. Patterson had made it optional this year, sensitive to what had happened before, but Lily had volunteered immediately. "Are you sure?" Mrs. Patterson had asked. "After everything." "I'm sure," Lily had replied. "I have something new to say." Now she stood at the front of the room, holding a different folder than before. No drawings this time, just words. "My hero is still my dad," she began. "That hasn't changed. He's a Marine. He works with Titan. He's saved lives and sacrificed more than most people will ever know." She paused. "But I learned something this year. Heroes aren't just people in uniforms. Heroes are people who stand up when it's easier to sit down. People who speak when it's safer to stay silent. People who choose to do the right thing even when it's hard." She looked at her classmates. "My mom is a hero. She worked double shifts to keep our family going. She cried at night when she thought I was asleep, but she never let me see her give up. Her eyes found Tyler Morrison, who looked down at his desk. Mrs. Patterson is a hero. She took over a classroom that had been hurt by someone else's choices, and she made it a place where everyone feels safe. She took a deep breath. And I think maybe we can all be heroes. Not by doing big things, not by getting medals or meeting presidents, but by being kind, by listening, by seeing people for who they really are instead of who we think they are. She looked at the medal pinned inside her folder. She had brought it to show, but now she wasn't sure she needed to. The president told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Don't let this moment define you." And I've been thinking about what that means. She closed the folder. I think it means that being brave once isn't enough. You have to be brave every day, in small ways that nobody sees, in choices that nobody celebrates. That's the hard part. That's the real courage. She looked at her classmates one final time. So my hero is my dad, but my goal is to be someone's hero too. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. Because that's what heroes do. They inspire other heroes. She walked back to her seat. The classroom was silent. Then Mrs. Patterson started clapping. One person joined her, then another. Then the whole class was on their feet, applauding, some of them crying. Maya hugged her fiercely. Tyler Morrison nodded at her with something like respect. And in the back of the room, standing where he had stood 6 months ago, Ryan Mason watched his daughter with tears streaming down his face. She had done it. Not because she had to, not because the world was watching, because it was who she was. Later, walking home together, Lily took her father's hand. Dad. Yeah, Lilybug. I think I understand now, about the ripples. What do you understand? They don't stop, not ever. Every time you do something brave, it creates more ripples, and those ripples create more, and it just keeps going. Forever. Forever. Ryan smiled down at his daughter. You know what, Lily, I think you're going to do great things. I already did great things. True, but I think there's more coming. Is that a prediction? It's a promise. Lily grinned. You know what I say about your promises. That I always keep them. Exactly. They walked home together, father and daughter, under a sky full of stars. Behind them, Titan trotted faithfully, watching over his family like he always had. Ahead of them, the future waited, unknown but no longer frightening. Because Lily Mason had learned the most important lesson of all. You don't have to be big to be brave. You don't have to be loud to be heard. You just have to be willing to stand up, speak the truth, and never, ever back down. That's what heroes do. That's what Marines do. That's what one 8-year-old girl did when she refused to let anyone tell her that her father was just anything. And the ripples from that moment, from that choice, from that single act of courage, would spread outward forever. Changing lives, changing minds, changing the world. One truth at a time. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe, so more stories like this can reach people who need them. And remember, the smallest voice speaking. The hardest truth can change everything. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. You matter. Never let anyone tell you otherwise.